So then, the well-documented breakdown of Iranian-US relations. But what about the future? We can get more now from Reza Marashi. He's a director at the National Iranian-American Council. He's also a former official at the US State Department. As you can see, he joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Good to have you with us on the programme. When you look back over the past 35 years, have either the US or Iran actually benefited from the revolution, do you think?
Well, I think in certain ways they have, but largely both should be considered losers in the bigger scheme of things. A friendship has turned into an enemy-type relationship, and it's taken a lot of legwork to try to move it back towards a position of simply being rivals as opposed to enemies that are on the brink of war. And there's been a separation between the two peoples as well, despite the best efforts of many on both sides to continue collaboration with one another. It's really become victim to the political game that's gone back and forth between both sides. So in the bigger scheme of things, I think you have to say that it's been a lose-lose scenario despite some victories here and there.
Away from sort of the political shenanigans going on between the two governments, how do you think most ordinary Americans look at Iran these days? I mean, is it still the stereotypical thought that it's a country that's, run by what they would see as mad religious leaders, or have things moved on?
Well, I think you're always going to have a segment of the American population that view Iran as being run by mad mullahs. Fortunately, that segment of the American population is the minority. That doesn't mean that images from the hostage crisis in the early 1980s aren't still poignant in the United States. What it means is that American people seek to build a better future, not just with Iran, but with other countries around the world. And there is a very receptive audience inside of Iran as well for that message, and a very similar desire. So looking ahead, I think you see the opportunity to pursue that path, and you have leaders in both countries that are backing the people's will towards that end.
You are sounding very positive about the future for US-Iranian relations. What makes you so sure and so positive about that?
I would say that my glass is half full precisely because the past 8 years have moved us towards the precipice of a military conflict that I think both governments and, more importantly, both people would independently seek to avoid. And sometimes when you reach that precipice, it sharpens the focus of the decision makers on both sides, where they have to be willing to take risks for peace in order to move back from the ledge. I think since the election of President Hassan Rouhani, you've seen a willingness on the part of not only his administration, but the Obama administration as well, to take those risks. And it's truly been unprecedented. And that gives, I think, everybody reason for at least a little bit of optimism, while being clear-eyed about the challenges that lie ahead. It's not going to be easy, but I do think it's necessary.
You talk about Rouhani willing to take those risks for the future, but isn't it the reality that it's actually down essentially to the Ayatollah? And has the Ayatollah changed his views on the way forward?
That's an important question. I think that the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is the most important decision maker in Iran, but he does not rule by fiat. There are others that have a say in this matter, and so far, since Rouhani has been president in Iran, you've seen the supreme leader come out and say very clearly that all political factions should support him. That being said, there's no way that the supreme leader is able to control all of the political actors and factions inside of Iran. But because he's come out and said very explicitly Rouhani should be supported, we've seen a lot of bark, but not a lot of bite from Iran's hardliners so far. That doesn't mean that this situation will remain the same far into the future. That's precisely why it's important for those leaders to take risks, because if there aren't tangible deliverables that they can show to political factions in Iran and the United States, but also to the people more importantly, then this process that's already very delicate could fall apart.
Reza Marashi, good to have you with us on the programme. Thanks so much for joining us.